Hello and welcome to a special preview edition of the Silver Bulletin. My name's Aaliyah Jackson. With me I have Wyatt Crozier and Colin Gay, our sports editors and assistant sports editors here at the Lantern. This week the Buckeyes travel to Arlington, Texas, where they'll be facing 15th ranked TCU. Colin, you're a Texas native. Tell me about that. Tell me about your homecoming. Are you excited to get back?
I'm going to copy what Baron Browning said, the first thing he said when someone asked him the same question. He's like, I'm just looking forward to going and get that Whataburger. So.
Very fun, very fun. So the biggest storyline coming into this matchup is TCU's defense. They're always good every year. This year, they haven't allowed a sack at all. And this is Dwayne Haskins' first start in a big primetime matchup. How do you guys think he's going to do?
Well, I think, talking about TCU's defense, it's kind of a rare thing in the Big 12 to see such a defensive-oriented team. That's kind of what Gary Patterson has done over the years. Is TCU really is a defensive team. They've given up 9.5 points a game in their 2 games so far this year. I think a lot of not giving up a sack is also their quarterback, Sean Robinson. He's very elusive. Haskins has shown, to me, no signs that he's going to slow down. He's just been very confident back there. He's been incredibly accurate, around 79%. So for me, I don't think that Haskins is going to necessarily stop what he's been doing. It might be a little tougher for him originally, but I think he'll be able to have a great game in this one.
And I think the thing is you say the stat, TCU hasn't allowed a sack yet this year. They haven't faced a defensive line like Ohio State has this season. And I think that especially with Sean Robinson, who runs an RPO-style offense much similar to Ohio State's, but he runs their zone read a lot more than Dwayne Haskins does. And that's going to be something that Nick Bosa, Chase Young, and the rest of the defensive line are going to have to watch out for is they have a guy who can run like a running back but throw like a quarterback. And it's going to be interesting to see how the defensive line looks at that and approaches that on Saturday.
Now, one of the concerns coming out of that Oregon State matchup was the defensive backs and the middle linebackers and Ohio State's pass defense outside of the pass rush. It was a little shaky. With this mobile quarterback, do you think that's going to pose any issues for the defense moving forward?
Well, with the running quarterback, I mean, TCU has to have a better offensive line. So, especially at middle linebacker or in the defensive backfield, you see Jordan Fuller. He's back. He wasn't there for the Oregon State game in the season opener. So that provides a lot of extra confidence for the Ohio State secondary. In the middle, you got Baron Browning, who's made his first 2 starts at middle linebacker, but you also see Tuff Borland, a team captain, redshirt sophomore. He's coming back from an Achilles injury, so he's going to take a couple more snaps this week, kind of improve on that recovery, so you should see him involved back. But really, it comes down to the success of the defensive line. If the passing defense isn't going to matter if Sean Robinson's on the ground every play. So if Nick Bosa and Chase Young can get to, or in Draymond Jones as well, can get to that quarterback and disrupt the passing game, disrupt Sean Robinson's middle, I mean, I see Ohio State having a good day.
I would say in most situations I would agree with you, it's all defensive line. But because it's Sean Robinson and because he is such a threat with his legs, I do think that the defensive backs will have to step up. Against Rutgers, they didn't have to, and because of that, the quarterbacks had a miserable day. Stikowski and their backup, 10 of 31 combined. Just nothing that Rutgers could have done. But because TCU has a quarterback that can run, the quarterback that can make those moves, I do expect it to be a little more of a challenge for the defensive backs. I think he'll be able to get some deeper throws out there. He does have an arm as well as his running ability. So I think they will have to step up more than they've had to all season, but I think they have the capability to do it.
Now, both teams, their first 2 weeks, they didn't really face any tough competitions, cupcakes, some people might call them. So this is the first big test for both teams. How do you guys think that the receivers will play, their veteran group? Do you think they'll be able to keep up the strong play they've been playing throughout the season thus far?
I would say yes, I think they will be able to. I think they'll be able to be just as solid as they've been the first 2 games. But I think it's more on Haskins. I think it is really Haskins has been able to find them in open space. They've been able to make really, really clean passes all season so far. So I think if he is on, the receivers will be on with him. I think it'll be more him leading them more than the receivers leading him.
I really do think over the first 2 games, the wide receivers have made Dwayne Haskins look very good. And I agree with you. I think this is the game where Dwayne Haskins is like, okay, this is my offense. This is my time to show that he can lead an offense, and it's just not going to be the receivers making him look good. I mean, he's had a deep threat in Terry McLaurin, which I didn't expect to be the deep threat in this offense. And then you have KJ Hill, Paris Campbell, these quick guys, these short routes. I do believe this is the time where Dwayne Haskins can make himself the He's not a team captain, but this is the game to make him the leader of the offense, and we'll see if he can do it on Saturday.
All right, so the primetime matchup, the spread last time I checked was 14 points in favor of Ohio State. What do you guys think of that spread? Do you think it will be close to that, or what do you guys think?
I do think it's going to be close. I know we may have different opinions on this. I think it's going to be very close. I have Ohio State winning, but under the spread. I have them winning about 11 points. I think TCU is the real deal. I think they have a very strong defense. I think Sean Robinson is a terrific quarterback. I think they'll be able to make some plays in Ohio State's secondary, but I do think even with it being pretty much a home game for TCU, Haskins has been too dominant. You have Dobbins and Weber to help him out. He might get shaky to start, but I think they'll eventually get in the rhythm they've been in all year, and Ohio State will bring a slightly close victory in Texas.
This team over the first 2 games they played, Oregon State, Rutgers. I do think this team showed that it has the staying power in terms of talent. I think that TCU, I think they're going to beat their spread, and I think they're going to do it pretty handily. I think they're going to show up in Texas, and I think they're going to show people why they're considered one of the best teams in the nation just based on talent. And I think, especially for Haskins, he's shown that consistency. That quarterback room's shown the consistency, whether it is Dwayne Haskins, whether it is Tate Martell, that running game, what Ryan Day calls the two-headed monster with J.K. Dobbins, Mike Weber. I really do think TCU is going to have a lot of trouble stopping this offense. And then on the defense, there's a lot of talent, especially up front on that defense. And they're going to have some trouble adjusting at first to Sean Robinson, I think, but I don't think it's going to take too long before the Ohio State defense figures him out and stops the TCU offense. I think Ohio State wins pretty handily.
I tend to agree with you, Colin. I think this team is starting a lot of young talent, but they've got a lot of good things going for them. I like what I've seen so far in the season. TCU, I know they've been performing well in their first 2 games, but I know they struggled a little bit in that opening half against Southern. So I think Ohio State might be a little bit too much for them, and I think they will lose a little bit of a big deficit. But speaking of Tate Martell, he had an awesome performance versus Rutgers, 10 for 10. Do you guys think he's going to see some meaningful snaps in this game, or what is your guys' take on that?
Ohio State loves this guy. They love Tate Martell. 10 for 10. That touchdown throw, I'm not a huge fan of that touchdown throw. 51 yards. It seemed like that's all he had in terms of a touchdown throw, in terms of power. He showed why Ohio State wanted him. I mean, he can pass, he can run like a quarterback I haven't seen in Ohio State in an Ohio State uniform in a long time. He can run like a running back if he wants to. I don't know how much time he's going to see against TCU. This is a very, very big game for Ohio State. But I mean, Ryan Day has said, I think Urban Meyer said this before the season, if he's one of the top 10 players on that offense, he's going to see the field no matter who the opponent is. And I really do feel like Ohio State considers him as one of the best players in that offense. And if they do consider him in that way, Ryan Day's going to put him in at some point.
Yeah, I agree with you a lot. I loved what Tate Martell did against Rutgers. It was super fun to watch. That throw was nuts. The run was even crazier. I could see it. I think it depends how Haskins is doing. I think if Haskins is struggling even a little bit, it's not that he's going to be replaced. I think you might try to bring Martell in for a little bit of a surprise, a little bit of a change of pace. But I don't think he'll get meaningful playing time. I think Haskins is the guy they want him to prove his worth in such a big game to show how much he can really bring to the table. Martell might come in for a play or a drive to try to mix things up if they're struggling, but not much else.
Yeah, that 5th drive.
Love the 5th drive.
Well, yeah, that vaunted 5th drive. I do hope to see a Tate Martell showing and meaningful snaps. I think he's got a pretty good arm. He can make the passes he needs to, and obviously he's got awesome legs. So I think we'll be able to see him in a series or 2 before it comes to garbage time. If it comes to that, I won't sit there and jinx it. Before we end, guys, final score predictions for this one.
I'm going to stick with my print one. I'm going to say 31-20 Ohio State. I think it'll be closer than people want it to be. I think Haskins might originally have to get used to TCU's defense, but he'll really prove to him why he's like such a big Heisman candidate so far. TCU, Sean Robinson will find some space, but not enough to make a huge difference. I think Ohio State will win 31-20.
I think if Ohio State wants this to go the way it does, they're going to win the toss, defer to the second half. TCU scores first, but they only score one more touchdown. I have Ohio State winning 38-14.
Okay, and my score prediction, I think they win big. I think they take this win out of Arlington, 42-17. But we will see. this Saturday, 8 o'clock, AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. Ohio State Buckeyes versus TCU Horned Frogs. Thank you guys for tuning in for another episode of the Silver Bulletin, and we'll see you next week.